Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're back in the Texas Panhandle filming documentary interviews. With only 30 minutes to set up, speed was essential. Follow along as I set up my cameras, lights, and audio in that time frame and stick around to the end to see the results. Thank you to Aputure for sponsoring this video. Let's get into the setup. So at the bottom of the screen, you see where it says source time code. Look at the second number, the 57, that's the minutes. So everything is sped up 6 times so we can get through this a lot quicker. But I'm going to take you through the whole process of what I'm setting up and the things that I'm doing and also key points. So first off, I always get my cameras up. My cameras were pretty much ready to go. So I just pulled them out and I'm just going to add monitors to them. If you see there, I actually moved the tight camera to the left-hand side, so I would be on the shadow side of the face. I'm adding my Atomos Shogun Connect monitors to each camera, so there's a big screen for myself to look at, and also for the director to look at, and false colorability. So cameras are up. That's the first step. Look at the clock down below. That ate up about 5 minutes of my time to have the cameras up and kind of lock in my framing. With general framing done, I was able to get someone to sit in so I could fine tune everything and actually see what it looked like with a person there. Also to see what the lighting was doing in the space. This is a great time to set your exposure. I set the exposure for the background first rather than the subject. One thing you'll notice throughout this setup is I will constantly be looking at the camera and making adjustments, changing settings. That's just part of it. So don't ever hesitate to keep going back and making adjustments as needed during your setup. With this setup, every second counts. I don't know what I'm fiddling with here, but it needed to get done, so I was doing it. I move on to the light, I grab my clamp, I grab my ballast, and then I put the head on. So this is an Aputure 600X that I'm using. I grab the head and power cable. I attach the head cable to the fixture and then I go into the ballast. Next, I raise the light, turn it sideways, take off the protective cap, and off to the side, I'm setting up the 150 dome and I throw that guy on there all on my own, put my foot down so it doesn't tip over, weight over the big leg. I will bag this momentarily. The light I'm using is the Aputure 600X. The modifier is the Aputure 150 dome. I have the 2.5 stop diffusion on there, which is the thicker diffusion. And then I also had a grid on there, which will be removed. The reason I picked this light is I wanted the versatility of having bicolor. If there was a situation where I needed to go more tungsten or go more daylight, I had that option. I do have a 600C, but the output isn't as much as the 600X, whether it's in daylight or tungsten. Also, I used the 150 dome because I wanted a big soft source that I could get in close to the subject. That was really vital for me. If I went with a smaller dome, I'd have to bring it in closer and it just may not give that nice soft look. In certain circumstances, it is a bit much and a bit big, so I did have the Light Dome 3 on standby in case I needed a smaller dome for a smaller space. The light is up, but time is ticking away. I had to go back outside to grab more equipment. I needed to get my boom pole for audio, another stand, a shot bag, and a power strip. With only 30 minutes to set up, every minute counts. Now, did I only get 30 minutes? No, I was just told set up as quickly as possible. We were delayed getting to this location because the pin that was dropped didn't get us there. It ended up being an hour and a half delay before we could actually get to the right location. So time was of the essence. So I'm running power now. I dial in the light to the white balance for outside for what we're getting, and I make slight adjustments. A lot of times on these documentary run and gun shoots, you don't have the ability to hire on a lot of crew. So there's no one there to do art or set design. So you've got to sometimes grab what you can, get it out of the way, make some adjustments, and go with it. Next thing I realize, I need more output. So I take off the grid. The grid does help to give direction to the light, but it does eat away at the output. So I remove the grid to get as much output as possible. I was at 100%, And when you're at 100%, what can you do to make your light brighter? You could move it in or out, and that could help adjust the exposure. We adjusted for the background first, and now I'm adjusting for the subject. So, with that, moving the light in and out or changing the intensity can help. We added a plant as well to give a little more life to the corner there, and that was actually where a plant was. Now, what I did here is I actually sat down so I could see the eye line and let the subject know that, hey, the interviewer is going to be here. So look in this direction. So when I get up, I can actually see how the eye line looks and see how everything lines up in that space. And then more set design comes into play. We move some things around. That lamp is now pushed back a little bit. The chair gets moved over. Fine adjustments, fine tuning. I don't like the way the plant looked. Keep adjusting, keep moving things. And then I'm like, you know what? I want the light to be turned on. That lamp back there would look great. I plug it up and realize that there's no bulb in there. So I let the homeowner know, hey, can you grab some bulbs as I set up the audio? I use the Sennheiser 416 shotgun microphone. I use it with a boom pole that actually has the XLR cable running through it, and then the XLR cable outside of the boom pole goes straight into one of my FX6s. Time to get some shot bags on the stand. So I throw shot bags onto the stands and then I fine tune the actual boom pole and get it close to where I need it. And then the homeowner finds a bulb for me. I pop it in the lamp. It works. We're ready to go. So we're using the key light, that practical, which is the lamp, and then we have the light coming in from the window. That's what's lighting our scene overall. So we factor all these things in when we're doing exposure, making adjustments to kind of make it all work. I bring in the director and we start looking at the framing and figuring out what we need. Like, what are we going to remove? What do we need to adjust? Let's do this, let's do that. So I get confirmation at this point because I'm pretty close to where I need to be. If you look at the time, we're about 25 minutes in when I'm able to get the director to look at the framing. We move an ottoman, the director goes outside, makes some adjustments on things outside, and we're just dialing in this look and getting it confirmed. Once I know the director is happy, I go ahead and plug up my XLR cable. I go straight into the FX6, put my headphones on, and this is a crucial point. Always make sure that your audio is where it needs to be. Check your levels. I'm pretty much where I want to be. I look at the cameras and I know what I forgot. I need to go grab some SD cards. So I run back to the truck, go to my other case, grab some fresh SD cards that are formatted, ready to go. Bring those guys inside, pop them in the camera, and I'm ready to go. After getting those cards in, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to hit record. And guess what? That's 30 minutes. We bring in the talent, they line up, get into place. Once the talent sat in, I noticed this person was leaning forward versus the previous person was leaning back. So there's a slight variance. So I make a boom adjustment with the shotgun mic. Now, did I get it perfect? No, usually you want it to hit their chest rather than point at their mouth. And here's the perspective from behind the camera. I'm walking in, you can see the 600X Pro with the 150 dome, my two FX6s, the Shogun monitors. I'm running a 50 mil and an 85 mil on the FX6s, and the boom is set up to be right in line with the director and the subject getting interviewed. Let's take a look at some frames. This was the wide angle, which was shot in S-Log3 S-Gamma 3 Cine. So this is what it looks like straight out of camera. I made some adjustments. I actually did apply a LUT and made some adjustments. Now, I am not the one that's editing or grading this footage. This was done to my liking. Now, it may be different when the video and footage actually gets released, the documentary. It may have a different look, but this is something that I did editing. And then let's take a look at the false color. So this is the Atomos false color LUT applied to the footage, and you can see that the outside still has information and that we're not overexposed and the lighting is hitting the subject really well. Looking at these side by side, you can see what the lighting is doing in the frame. And that's why I like to do this comparison, because not only do you see the levels, but you can also see where the light is coming from. Now we're going back to the log image for the tighter angle. And this is what it looks like when I apply the LUT and do some adjustments. My base LUT is always the Phantom LUTs. Those are my go-to. They give you the best results in my opinion, and they're a great starting point. Next, we apply the Atomos false color LUT so you can see the levels and you can see what the light is doing. Using false color on set is a crucial part of my workflow, especially when I'm using it to expose interviews. I go from looking at a image with a LUT to also looking at that image with the false color to help me make decisions on exposing the image overall. Do you think 30 minutes was a fair amount of time to set up for this interview? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Huge shout out to Aputure for sponsoring this video. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one.